Good day, everybody. I'm Shmi and I make guides for Path of Exile. If you're enjoying the content, please hit that like button and feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Today, I'm back to show you how to build a poisonous tornado shot Deadeye. It doesn't require charms and instead uses a tincture to massively scale up poison damage through elemental damage added to a bow. In addition, while other tornado shot builds can't use either the greater volley or greater multiple projectile supports due to the less damage multipliers, poison is not a projectile, so this build gets to take advantage of both. This is a fantastic build to use if you want to try tornado shot but you don't want something really complicated and you don't want to break the budget. The build does solid damage and easily clears maps all the way through the end of red maps, but you will need to find a good bow if you want to push further. I took down Drawbacks the Warlord with my old mediocre 5-link bow, but it did take me about 5 minutes. You'll use Herald of Agony, and if you choose to use the Grace Aura as I am, you can even push a pretty high damage mitigation thanks to Iron Reflexes. Instead, especially if you trust your internet more than I do, you can choose to swap out Grace for Haste instead, giving yourself a great damage boost. Or, since you easily have the skill gem space, you can just equip both and swap between them depending on the situation. Since we're using the Warden of Eve's Ascendancy class, we also get to use the Wildwood Ascendancy Nature's Concoction to maintain a permanent uptime on 2 different utility flasks. I haven't tested mine out much, so I'm currently trying out Witchfire Brew and Rot Gut, though I probably should just buy a Dying Sun instead of the brew. I haven't really played around with it that much yet, so there are likely other much more effective flask setups. For your skills, you're going to want to use the following with the supports in priority order. You'll use Tornado Shot with greater volley and greater multiple projectiles, Withering Touch, Mirage Archer, and Unbound Ailments. You'll use Shrapnel Ballista linked to Arrow Nova, Focused Ballista, and Unbound Ailments. And you'll use Mana Forged Arrows linked to Frenzy, Mark on Hit, and Sniper's Mark. The biggest drawback of this build is that it can be fragile, especially early on in the endgame. You get almost no resistances from the build, so you have to fill that gap with your gear. It's also a little frustrating to level up until Act 3 because you don't get Tornado Shot until then, but otherwise it is a great build, especially for people who really like smooth and easy power level. If you want to create a poisonous Tornado Shot Deadeye, go ahead and start by making a Ranger. Take Split Arrow after killing Hillock, and then just do Act 1 with a mixture of Split Arrow and Burning Arrow. You're going to want to pick up the Mirage Archer support and attach that to Split Arrow after you finish Mercy Mission. Take Shrapnel Ballista after finish breaking some eggs, but also make sure to buy the Sniper's Mark gem from Nessa. You can temporarily use either Precision or Vitality after you kill Brutus, but you won't need it anymore eventually. Once you get to the Cavern of Wrath, you can replace Split Arrow with either Rain of Arrows or Lightning Arrow. It doesn't really matter which because you don't have Poison active in your build until around Act 4. Once you get to Act 2 and finish the Intruders in Black quest, replace Burning Arrow with Frenzy. At the same time, you'll also want to pick up Herald of Agony and equip it, though you may not want to actually turn it on yet until around Act 3 because that's when you get Tornado Shot. Also, at some point after you kill Oak, make sure to enter the Wildwood and follow Yellow Wisps to find the Warden of Eves. You'll want to get his Wildwood Ascendancy class and immediately unlock the ability to use tinctures and obtain a Poisonberry tincture. Similar to Herald of Agony, your tincture may not be worth turning on right away, but as soon as you start investing points into poison, you'll want to equip and activate it. After you free Tolman at the start of Act 3, pick up both Grace and Haste. Once you kill General Gavicius, take Tornado Shot. You can actually use Tornado Shot immediately in this build by buying both the lesser multiple projectiles and the volley support gems from Nessa in Act 1. Then, once you finish Act 4, you just replace those 2 support gems with the greater multiple projectiles and the greater volley supports. To level up your passive tree, start by taking this path to Finesse, and then go up and get Ballistics and Aspect of the Eagle. That's basically good enough for bow damage for now. Then go out through Quick Step and follow this outer edge to get Clever Thief. The leech is really nice, but the real prize from this cluster is the life and mana on hit. We end up covering the screen with tornado shot projectiles, so this cluster alone gives you great life sustain and completely takes care of your mana despite how much mana you chug through at high levels. After you have Clever Thief, next you'll want to develop your chance to poison. Take Swift Venoms and Fatal Toxins, then cut in and take Hunter's Gambit, and then develop toward Toxic Strikes. With all of this and Herald of Agony, you now have a 100% chance to poison, and you can flip on your Tincture and Tornado Shot and Herald of Agony if you have not already. Next, you'll likely want to up your toughness, because you can be a little fragile here, so take every already unlocked life and defense clusters as you need to. Once you're comfortable, then develop all the way to Iron Reflexes. While you're here, you can also come up and grab Art of the Gladiator for the increased attack and movement speed. Otherwise, you'll next want to develop the 2 extra projectiles from the Multi-Shot cluster and the Master Fletcher cluster. At this point, your build's offense is mechanically set up, and all you basically need to do is fill what's remaining as needed, especially all of the life and defense. Don't forget to pick up your masteries as well, and also pick up Inveterate for spell suppression. When you have Inveterate and the Evasion Mastery, you get 87% spell suppression in this build, which means that you can very easily get to 100% with a single body armor mod. But until you get that, you may want to pick up the Lucky Suppression Mastery. It's optional, but it is a good idea while you're leveling. Now, this is as far as I've gotten, and there are 2 good ways that I can think of to finish the build, one offensive choice and one defensive choice. The defensive option would be to develop inward between the Ranger and Shadow area, which unlocks an additional jewel socket, but allows us to take this excess sustenance cluster. You hit so often with this build, just like with Clever Thief, that if you were to take the excess sustenance cluster, I don't think that you would ever die, except to something that kills you in a single hit. The other option though, and this is what I'm going to be doing because I'm okay with my damage sustain already, is investing into the 2 additional frenzy charges and then taking these 2 points for the attack speed and poison duration as I round out the build. For your Ascendancies, take Ricochet first, then Endless Munitions, then Gathering Winds, and after completing your Eternal Labyrinth, get Focal Point. For your Wildwood Ascendancies, get Coated Blade and then Nature's Concoction, then take Oath of the Magi and keep either your gloves or your body armor empty of skill gems, which will give you a huge boost to either your life or the stats gained from your body armor. I'm keeping my body armor empty of skill gems for now to test it out, but it will be your choice. The real beauty of this build is just how smooth and simple it is. There's no crazy gear requirements, no 30 divine charms that you need to buy, no necessary corruptions or cluster jewels that you need for the build to function. There's no goofy reserved life aura setup. It's just a nice, straightforward ranger with a pretty solid toughness that can pump out a ton of poison damage. For anyone who's curious about trying out Tornado Shot, but you don't want something wildly complicated or expensive, this Poisonous Tornado Shot Deadeye build is just what you're looking for. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, take care, Exiles.